Your face can turn crimson in under 1/10 of a second, faster than a blink, faster than you can even admit you're embarrassed. By the time you know you've messed up, your body has already betrayed you. Why does embarrassment make your face turn red? Let's set the rules first. This isn't about anger. It's not sunburn, and it's not the flush from a hard workout. This is the sudden, involuntary heat that floods your cheeks the second you feel exposed. A missed step in front of a crowd. A joke that lands wrong. Your name mispronounced, loudly, in a packed room. You didn't choose it. You can't stop it, and almost everyone on Earth has felt it. So where does it actually come from? Let's find out. Start with the basics. Your skin is covered in tiny blood vessels, called capillaries. Normally, they carry blood quietly, keeping your tissue warm and fed. But under your face, something strange happens. A rush of nerve signals tells those vessels to widen. Blood surges closer to the surface. And because facial skin is thin, that blood shows through almost instantly. The result is heat, color, and a feeling you can't hide, even if you want to. Here's the first strange part. This isn't happening all over your body. Pinch your arm in embarrassment and nothing happens. Stub your toe in front of strangers and your foot won't glow red. The blush is almost exclusively a face, ears, neck, and upper chest phenomenon. Why would your body single out exactly the parts everyone can see? That question puzzled scientists for more than a century. Charles Darwin was one of the first to take it seriously. In 1872, he devoted an entire chapter of his book on emotional expression to blushing, calling it the most peculiar and most human of all expressions. He noticed something crucial. Blind people, who have never seen a blushing face, still blush, which meant it wasn't learned by watching others. It was built in. Darwin went further. He gathered reports from missionaries and travelers all over the world, asking a simple question. Does blushing happen everywhere? The answer kept coming back yes. Cultures that had never had contact with one another, separated by oceans and centuries, all showed the same reddening skin at the same kind of moment. A universal human signal, wired in before culture ever had a chance to teach it. That kind of consistency is rare. It usually means biology is doing something important, not just something random. But built in for what purpose? A flush that announces your worst moments to a room full of witnesses doesn't sound like something evolution would keep around, unless it was doing a job we hadn't figured out yet. Let's dig deeper into the mechanics first. Modern researchers picked up where Darwin left off. Psychophysiologist Peter Drummond, at Murdoch University, spent decades studying the exact chemistry behind facial blushing. His work found that the blood vessels in your cheeks carry an unusually high number of beta-adrenergic receptors. These receptors are extra sensitive to adrenaline, the hormone your body releases the instant you feel threatened or exposed. Other skin, elsewhere on your body, simply doesn't have nearly as many of these receptors. Your face isn't just embarrassed, it's biologically wired to be the most reactive part of you. That's stage one of the mystery solved. Your face blushes harder than the rest of your body because it's built to. Drummond even tested this directly, applying mild stress and chemical triggers to different patches of skin and measuring blood flow with sensors. Cheeks and ears lit up dramatically. Forearms barely moved at all. The difference wasn't subtle. It was built into the architecture of the skin itself, patch by patch, region by region. But that still doesn't explain why embarrassment triggers it in the first place. What is your brain actually responding to? This is where things escalate. Blushing isn't triggered by pain. It isn't triggered by fear of a falling object or the threat of physical danger. Drop a book on your foot and you might yelp, but you won't blush. Trip in an empty room, alone, with nobody watching, and your face usually stays completely calm. Add just one witness and everything changes. The trigger isn't the mistake. It's being seen making the mistake. Psychologists call this self-conscious emotion. Unlike fear or anger, which can fire the instant you sense danger, embarrassment requires something more complicated. Your brain has to imagine how you look through someone else's eyes. It has to model another person's judgment of you, in real time, and react to that imagined judgment as if it were real. That is a strikingly advanced piece of mental machinery, and very few animals appear to do it at all. Social psychologist Mark Leary spent years studying exactly this mechanism. His research describes something he calls the sociometer, an internal gauge constantly tracking how valued and accepted you feel by the people around you. Most of the time, it sits quietly in the background. But the moment it detects a drop, a mistake seen, a flaw exposed, an awkward silence, it triggers a fast, visible response. Embarrassment, in this view, isn't random misfiring. It's an alarm system built to protect your place inside the group. So the stakes get higher. This isn't a simple reflex like flinching from a loud noise. It's a signal generated by one of the most socially sophisticated parts of the human brain, broadcast directly onto the most visible part of your body. Add one more twist to the puzzle. Studies on social anxiety, including work from Peter de Jong's lab at the University of Amsterdam, found something counterintuitive. People who fear blushing the most tend to blush the most easily. The fear of the reaction seems to feed the reaction itself, a loop where worrying about turning red actually makes you more likely to turn red. Which raises an uncomfortable question. Why would evolution build a system that publicly announces your social mistakes to everyone around you, and then makes it worse the more you dread it? Here's where the twist comes in. For a long time, scientists assumed blushing was simply a design flaw, an embarrassing glitch with no real benefit, a leftover quirk of a stress response gone slightly haywire. But a series of newer studies flipped that idea completely. Psychologist Corinne Dyke, working with researcher Peter de Jong at the University of Amsterdam, ran experiments where people watched videos of someone committing an obvious social blunder, like knocking over a display in a store. In some videos, the person blushed afterward. In others, their expression stayed neutral. The results were consistent. Viewers rated the blushing person as more trustworthy, more likable, and more sincere, even though the mistake itself was identical in every clip. The blush wasn't read as weakness. It was read as an apology written directly onto the skin, one that couldn't be faked on command. That's the reveal. Blushing works like an honesty signal. It tells the people around you, instantly and involuntarily, that you know you messed up, that you care what they think, and that you're not trying to get away with anything. In a species that depends heavily on group trust and cooperation to survive, a visible, impossible-to-fake apology might have been worth more than the momentary sting of embarrassment. The very thing that feels like betrayal from your own body may actually be one of your body's oldest tools for repairing social bonds. Later studies pushed the idea even further. In follow-up work, Dyke and de Jong tested what happened when the mistake was worse, not just a knocked-over display, but something closer to a genuine social failure. The pattern held. Across nearly every version of the experiment, a blushing face pulled people back in rather than pushing them away. Non-blushers, by contrast, were rated as colder, and in some cases even more likely to have meant the mistake on purpose. Silence and a blank expression, it turns out, can read as arrogance. A red face reads as regret. Think about how counterintuitive that is. The moment you feel most exposed, most certain that everyone can see exactly how badly you've embarrassed yourself, is often the moment your body is working hardest to protect your standing with the group. You experience it as exposure. The people around you experience it as an apology arriving in real time, before you've said a single word. Think about what that means. The heat crawling up your neck during an awkward moment isn't malfunction. It's a message, sent out on your behalf, faster than words, faster than thought, saying, "I see what happened, and I'm still one of you." Every red-faced apology your body has ever staged without your permission was, in its own strange way, working in your favor. And this shows up far beyond humans standing in classrooms and offices. Researchers have long noted that primates display comparable appeasement behaviors, submissive gestures and social signals that repair standing within a group after a misstep. A lowered gaze. A retreat. A gesture that says, without a single sound, "I know my place, and I'm not a threat." Blushing may be our species' uniquely visible version of a very old survival strategy. Don't hide the mistake. Broadcast the remorse, and let the group see it before trust has a chance to break. There's an economic logic hiding underneath all of this too. Biologists call it costly signaling. A signal only works as proof of honesty if it's hard or impossible to fake. Anyone can say the words "I'm sorry." Almost no one can order their own blood vessels to flood their face on command. That's exactly what makes the blush so convincing. It costs you something, a flash of visible discomfort in front of witnesses, And that cost is precisely what makes it trustworthy. A cheap signal is easy to ignore. An involuntary one is almost impossible to dismiss. So the next time your face lights up after tripping on a sidewalk, or laughing too loud at the wrong moment, or forgetting someone's name mid-introduction, remember what's actually happening under your skin. The sociometer has fired. Beta-adrenergic receptors are answering the call. Blood vessels built specifically for this moment are widening. And a message millions of years in the making is being sent to everyone watching, whether you asked for it or not. There's a modern twist to all of this too. We spend more of our social lives than ever behind screens, typing instead of speaking, texting instead of standing face to face. A typo doesn't make your face turn red. An awkward message doesn't send blood rushing to your cheeks in front of the person reading it. Some researchers who study digital communication have pointed out that this old, honest, impossible-to-fake signal simply has fewer places left to appear. We've built entire platforms where you can make a social mistake and never once show the one reaction other humans are wired to trust the most. Which might explain why an awkward video call, camera on, face fully visible, can feel so much more uncomfortable than an awkward text thread. Your ancient signaling system is still running in the background, still trying to do its job, even in rooms it was never designed for. It turns out the reddest, most humiliating moments of your life were never really about humiliation at all. They were your body's way of staying human, together, in front of everyone. Which means the real answer to why embarrassment makes your face turn red isn't that something is going wrong, it's that something ancient, wired in before you could even talk, is going exactly right.